Hello, my name is Ali Byron, and the topic for my independent study unit is corporal
Growing
punishment.
controversy surrounding corporal punishment in schools.
Teachers are permitted to hit their students.
Bruising and broken blood vessels after being paddled in school.
And where would you draw the line?
He comes by and see us every week to thank us for what we did for him. That's only one situation. I'm not saying it works for everybody.
What is corporal punishment? The definition of corporal punishment is to use physical pain as a form of discipline. The reason why I chose this topic is because I have experienced corporal punishment quite a few times in my life, both at home and at school, but mainly school. But to see it still be used in Malaysia's public schools to this day still leaves me wondering, why is it still legal? What I'll be hoping to achieve in this documentary is to show my arguments on why corporal punishments should be abolished in Malaysia's schools. Corporal punishment is quite an old tradition that has been used by countries all over Asia. Public caning is banned in schools after the education regulations came into force. The Malaysian government does not encourage caning for primary school students, but caning is allowed in secondary schools and may only be administered by the principal or person to whom he delegates the power. Malaysia has been criticized by human rights groups for its use of caning. A 2008 report by Amnesty International criticized the increased use of caning in Malaysia and claims the punishment subjects thousands of people each year to systematic torture and ill treatment, leaving them with permanent physical and psychological scars. A lot of people have different opinions on the topic, corporal punishment. It is a widely controversial topic. Many countries have banned the practice, but Malaysia isn't one of them. Malaysia is one of the 33 countries that still allows corporal punishment to be used in their public schools. For years, people thought that the only way of disciplining a child was to hit them. But as years passed, certain countries began to realize the negative effects that could happen to a child that has experienced corporal punishment. There have been complaints to the Board of Education to stop allowing the use of corporal punishment, but nothing was done. Until the year 2017, after a case where a Malaysian student died due to the use of corporal punishment, UNICEF came into action and urged Malaysia to ban the practice. Now, for my first argument, I'll be talking about how the negative impacts of corporal punishment affects a student both physically and mentally. It is very clear to everyone that there are the physical effects of corporal punishment such as bruising or bleeding. That, in my opinion, is already a big reason why a corporal punishment should be banned in the first place. The different types of psychological effects that student gets from receiving corporal punishment are as follows. Increased antisocial behavior, increased aggression, increased criminal behavior. I was able to interview a senior assistant at Sri KL to ask him a few questions about corporal punishment. In what way do you think corporal punishment affects a student mentally?
It's like a humiliation, like humiliation for them, and then it will lead to other effects. Like, for example, it can influence others,
So I'll say like depression, yeah?
Yeah, depression, definitely.
I asked the same questions to another volunteer to see whether he has the same opinion as Mr. Tana. I also wanted to show that people are already aware of corporal punishment and know the negative impact it has on a child. Here was his response.
In what way does corporal punishment affect a child in the future?
Like in the future, the children will psychologically for sure. It's like while he was young, he used to get raped all the time, and then once he grew up, he would think he would still get raped, and besides that, he would start lying as well in order to cover up the reason for him to get raped. So this is not really good.
For my second argument, I will be discussing how corporal punishment should already be legal everywhere by now. For a child to be able to call an arrest on their parents, they would have had to experience some sort of physical abuse, whether it would be hitting or caning. If there was enough evidence, the parents would be sent to jail. That is the case when it comes to countries that have banned corporal punishment. Now let's think about it. If it is illegal to physically abuse a person or a child, then why is it illegal for a teacher in Malaysia to hit their students in class? For a teacher to use corporal punishment on their student is basically like committing a crime. Corporal punishment and physical abuse are pretty much identical to each other. Both involves physical contact and both hurts a person. The only thing that is different among the two is the one is illegal and one is not. Mr. Tana was able to elaborate on my point further. Why do you think Malaysians haven't banned corporal punishment?
Because we are not very open-minded.
Not very open-minded.
We think we are still following the traditional way of punishing the kids. I think we must open our minds and must look around the world.
Yeah.
How, for example, I give an example. As far as education is concerned, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Switzerland is among the top 3 in the world. See, I don't think they ban corporal punishment over there. Yeah. Most of the European countries, you can think of better ways.
True.
Children being children, you must mold them, you must counsel them, you must advise them. Yes.
I conducted a survey where one of the questions I asked was, should teachers be allowed to use corporal punishments? With a total response of 13, 61.5% said no. Most of them said no because they felt it was simply abuse. For my third and final argument, I'll be explaining why corporal punishment is not needed. In my opinion, there are many other methods than just corporal punishment itself. If a teacher doesn't have any other way other than corporal punishment to help better myself, then that person doesn't deserve to be a teacher. After watching the BBC documentary on corporal punishments in schools, I came to a realization that corporal punishment is no longer needed anymore. Studies have already shown that rewarding good behavior is much better than punishing bad behavior, and that this is a much better way than corporal punishment. The reason for this is because for a child, they have something to look forward to for their efforts. I was able to go around Subang SS15 to ask some students from the nearby colleges on whether they agree with this statement and why. Here is one of our volunteers with his answer.
There's a saying, rewarding good behavior instead of punishing bad behavior. Do you agree with this statement?
Yeah, actually, I do agree.
What do you feel this way?
Well, like if you do something good, like good behavior, you get rewarded, and you will do it more often and you try even harder, so that you'll get the reward.
In my opinion, corporal punishment brings nothing but negative. But that is just my opinion. There are some people who still believe that corporal punishment has its benefits to it. I was able to interview another staff member of Sri KL about a topic where he talks about how the use of corporal punishment has made his students successful.
For example, I have one civil engineer coming back from Australia and saying, "Sir, my result is the result of your caning. Every time my report card there's a red, you cane me once. So I study very hard. So now I'm an engineer."
Right. Thank you. From past experience, I would have to say that rewarding good behavior is one of the best options. Corporal punishment was never needed at the start. I remember that I tried extremely hard just so I could get a certain reward. I wasn't forced. Instead, it motivated me even more to do better. When it came to the statement, almost everyone agreed to it, except for one. The reason why I felt the need to add this part of the interview is because he completely disagreed with the statement and spoke on what he believes.
Do you believe in the statement, rewarding good behavior instead of punishing bad behavior?
I don't believe in this statement because we should not punish and reward a child's action based on whether it's a bad thing or a good thing that they've done. Because we should not be reactive to their actions. We should be more proactive. We should rather set good examples when we can, and when they perform wrong deed or do something wrong, rather than punishing them. We should instead guide them and show them the correct way, slowly, step by step. Slowly change their minds, implement ideas slowly, get them to accept logic, sense, common reasoning, rather than trying to force our ideas to them. Because when we try to force something,
As seen through research and interviews, it is clearly shown on why corporal punishment should be abolished. It was portrayed through the negative impacts of corporal punishments, the legality of it, and how there are other proven methods to be better than corporal punishment. A way we could solve this ongoing controversy is that we need to have more students standing up and have a say in this. The reason for this being is because they are the main victims when it comes to this topic. I hope that in the future that Malaysia will come to a realization that corporal punishment is not the answer and forget this stupid tradition in order to be a more developed society than we are now.